Hello everyone, welcome back to Simplify. In today's video, I'd like to talk about the obligatory New Year's resolution. This is not going to be your typical video. I'm not going to give you the top resolutions and how you should achieve those resolutions. Instead, I'd like to offer you some thoughts on how to structure resolutions to be successful, how to create an objective that's actually achievable but also changes how you achieve objectives in the future. The idea should be to create new habits, to create new ways of doing things, not necessarily just to achieve one goal and then to give up on all the behaviors that got you there in the first place. So I'll offer you a few tips today on how I like to create goals that are meant for long-term sustainability rather than the annual January check-in where we decide we want to lose some weight or make some more money or whatever that goal might be, but then inevitably we fall off that commitment in February or March when life picks up. Life will continue to go no matter what, so integrating new behaviors and habits is a way to succeed. We're going to talk more about that, so please stick around, like the video, subscribe to the channel. If you don't like the content, no problem. You can let me know that too. I appreciate any feedback. I actually follow a bunch of rules when it comes to creating resolutions. But the very first is that I don't really fall into this idea of new year, new resolution. I actually make goals and objectives throughout the entire year. For me, this is a dynamic process. And so my first tip is to not wait until the new year every year. A lot of people use the new year for a time of reflection and a time of change. They actually build this event up in their head and make it oh so important. The New Year's commitment turns into this emotional and challenging commitment whereby you have to do a certain thing that you pledge to do, and it causes you great stress and anxiety. I don't enjoy that at all. And so I try throughout the year to create times during which I do some reflection. If there's a need, for instance, if I feel like I've gained weight unexpectedly, or if I'm not exercising enough, or if I'm simply not doing well at work, or I'm not sleeping well, I will immediately jump in and create a goal. I don't wait. I don't like waiting until the new year. And frankly, I don't like the pressure that putting new goals at the new year puts on you. It really should be spread out over a period of time and should be on an as-needed basis. We have needs throughout the year that arise, and new goals are necessary. And so again, the first tip is to be constant in your evaluation of resolutions. Make sure that you're hitting on the different needs you have throughout the year and not stacking them all up at the new year. This can be overly burdensome and very challenging because we all probably have multiple pain points in our lives, and it's hard to choose at New Year's which resolution will be the one that I pick. Will I attempt to do 2 or 3 really hard things that I've struggled to do all year, all at once in January? This can really affect your success rate. Because there's so much going on and the pressure that you're putting on yourself is so much greater than normal, it doesn't really set you up for success. Breaking down into tiny pieces what goals you'd like to achieve over a much longer period of time allows you to stack small wins upon small wins. This stacking effect can be really powerful. Dave Ramsey has a very similar system he calls the debt snowball effect, whereby you pay off your smallest debt first, you can get a quick win and start building momentum, and then that snowball gets bigger and bigger and bigger. The same concept applies with resolutions. Pick something that is easy enough to achieve, a small win, and then build upon that success, tackling new issues as they arise. Now I realize that it is New Year's, and so It's a great time to start. Don't take this advice as wait another year or do things differently in the future. Go ahead and utilize this opportunity. If you're ready to make a change, pick something. Pick something you know that you have an issue with, that you think you can create a success around, and start there. Keep it simple. Don't make it overly complicated. And that leads me into my very next tip. This one is very important. Please prioritize behaviors over outcomes. Let me give you an example. One goal for an individual might be to lose 20 pounds. This is an outcome-oriented goal. I would rephrase this as I want to eat 200 fewer calories every day. By doing this, what you're instilling in yourself is a behavior that will lead to an outcome. The behaviors are the most important thing when it comes to achieving goals. Reaching an outcome can be done in lots of different ways. Sometimes those ways are not suitable toward long-term success. Sometimes those ways involve cheating if the objective will allow for such a thing. So you want to reinforce positive behaviors that you can build into your mental model for success, and you can change the way you approach challenges. If you don't change your behaviors, you might succeed in actually achieving a goal that you set out for yourself. Let's say you do lose 20 pounds, but you do it by not eating any food except for a small meal in the evening. And when you're done with that, let's say, month-long period and you've lost the 20 pounds, your body is aching, you're craving food. You want to go back to a normal eating pattern, and you do that, but you start to put the weight back on because the model that you used to achieve that goal was not sustainable over time. So prioritize small wins, small incremental wins towards success by creating behaviors that lead to outcomes. Make sure your resolutions focus on those behaviors. One great example of this in the financial space might be to not use credit cards for a certain activity that you traditionally use credit cards for. Let's say that your groceries every month you put on a credit card. And you do that because you don't have enough cash available until your next paycheck. Well, figure out a way to pledge to not put those groceries on your credit card. Now, this may require some sacrifice at the beginning. One thing you can do is to get fewer groceries, to limit yourself at the beginning and only use your available capital. Another is to create some savings that gives you some leeway so that your timing allows for you to buy only the things you need with the money that you have in your account. Then you create a behavior around not using credit for groceries. And you can replace groceries with anything that you buy regularly, or any type of thing you use your credit card for regularly, which you don't need to use your credit card for. Now, I know a lot of you use credit cards to build up points and you pay off that credit card. That's a completely different issue. So if you're an individual who utilizes credit to leverage it and to create some sort of positive outcome, that's fine. This isn't directed toward you. But you likely have another example in your life that would fit in this example. Create a small behavior and over time, build that behavior into your day-to-day patterns. All right, so let's jump to the final tip. Always focus on action versus inaction. Now, this seems super obvious. Of course, you have to be action-oriented. But what I mean is when you create a goal, make sure that there are positive actions that will help you build in this new behavior. The alternative is inaction or avoiding something. So an example, let's go back to the losing weight example. One way to structure this goal would be to say that I am going to lose weight by not eating lunch every day. This is an example of inaction, or not doing something to achieve an ultimate goal. To be action-oriented here would be to say, I am going to eat vegetables 4 times a day. I know the difference seems subtle, but it has a strong psychological effect. If you create a healthy habit, a healthy behavior that actually promotes doing something healthy, you can create a new orientation in your mind around this healthy behavior. And then it becomes an action that has a positive impact in your day-to-day life versus avoiding something. When we're told we can't do something or that we can't have something, I don't know about you, but in my mind, I think, oh yes, I can do whatever I want. I live in America and this is a part of my fundamental freedom. It becomes a whole nother thing. It's a mental argument that you may or may not have in your mind, but I know a lot of us, a lot of the people I know, don't like to be told they can't do something, but they do like to take action on their own accord, to make a decision proactively to do something to better your life. It gives you a stronger mental connection to the thing that you're doing, and it leads to more success, in my experience, as you're trying to achieve goals. So let's talk about these 3 tips and let's relate it to a financial example. The first tip, again, to be consistent over time. Address problems as they arise. Of course, we're at the New Year's, so it's a great time to take advantage of this New Year's resolution period. But going forward throughout the year, make new goals all of the time. Don't wait until the new year. It makes no sense. We have issues and needs throughout the year. Let's try to focus on doing things in a dynamic and effective way throughout the year. The second tip is to focus on behaviors, small behaviors that lead to positive outcomes. Avoid creating resolutions that are objective-oriented or just outcome-oriented, but instead try to reinforce positive behaviors that you know will lead to the outcome that you want ultimately. And finally, make sure that you're prioritizing action, doing something positive versus inaction or avoiding certain things because you know they're not good for you. So let's take an easy example in the financial space. Let's say in 1 year's time, you want to buy your first house. This is your goal. This is your New Year's resolution for 2025. So what are some small behaviors that you can create that will allow you to have that decision in 1 year's time? The first thing you can do is to take a small percentage of your paycheck, wherever that's coming from, and have it set aside into a high yield savings account. Now, a high yield savings account right now is giving you somewhere around 4%. This may or may not last. It may go down, it may go up slightly. You could also utilize a money market account. It's a very similar financial tool, except that it does have some element of risk because it is an investment. Either way, you can decide which of these tools or any other tools are correct for you. You want to make sure wherever this money goes, this small percentage, and let's say for this example, that you're putting away 5% of every check into this particular account or asset. Make sure where you put it is pretty stable and pretty liquid, something that you can pull in and out without big penalties, that's not subject to big volatility. So you wouldn't want to invest this in a stock, for instance. You could invest it into an index of stocks, but this has more volatility and more risk. And because your time horizon is 1 year, that's a relatively short period of time. So you're creating a behavior to save for something that you want in 1 year's time. This behavior can be applied in future years to different goals that you set if you want to buy something else. So it's a highly transferable skill, and it's something that's creating discipline and behavior. You also could automate this. You could have it done automatically at every paycheck. So go into your direct deposit verification at your employer, or do it on your own every month and have your bank separated out into a different account. You may notice it at first because your paycheck is slightly smaller, but over time you get used to it. It becomes the new norm. Another way to handle this would be anytime you get a raise or anytime you get a bonus or some kind of additional financial benefit, all of that goes directly into the house savings account. So it's directly siphoned from your paycheck, but then also as your paycheck grows, you just automatically put that money away. Now, over 12 months, you'll notice that this account starts to grow. It starts to grow significantly. Now you'll want to make sure that you have a price range identified and that the percentage that you're putting away every month from your paycheck is enough to get you where you want to be. But this is a great way to create a behavior that's action-oriented and will lead to success over the course of 12 months. It also allows you opportunities throughout that year to make course corrections. If you decide that you want to live in a different area and you want to buy a house in a certain spot because of a school district, you can change that goal. You can easily make modifications. You can increase or decrease the percentage that you're putting towards that savings account. You can even change where you hold that savings account if a better opportunity comes up to give you a higher yield on that money. This can be applied to virtually any type of goal or resolution that you want to have in your life for 2025. Give it a shot. 3 simple ways to structure and approach resolutions can make all the difference in the world. I wish you all the very best of luck. Happy New Year. I hope your holidays were great. If you like this video, again, please give it a like, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, offer a comment below. These things are all free for you and take very little effort, but they mean the world to me. I'd really appreciate your support. Have a great week, and we'll see you in the next video.